Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of The Summer I Turned Swiftie. We are two USA Today bestselling authors, and like many, Jessica and I were transfixed by the last season of The Summer I Turned Pretty and the global phenomenon that it became. The show is steeped in Taylor Swift songs, Easter eggs, parallels to classic movies and TV shows. And now that a movie has been announced, we're doing a once-a-week rewatch and discussion of all of the above with a Swiftie and
a sitting duck who got sucked into the madness.
You make it seem like this is a hostage situation. It was your idea. That's hilarious. She works on these folks. I hope you appreciate them. Up front, of course, we would like you to please like, subscribe to the show. 37% of you apparently who are listening every week are not actually subscribed, and we are so close to getting to 500 subscribers on YouTube. So please hit that subscribe button and invite your friends too. You must all have friends who love the show. Those girls that you went to the watch parties with, bring them in. I know we're in season 2. It's difficult waters, but we're making it fun because we're talking about the Belly Conrad show, which is not necessarily the summer that I turned pretty. We did also want to mention a big thank you. We got our Spotify Wrapped results earlier this week, and just having Spotify Wrapped results made me excited. I don't know about you, Jessica. But literally, when I opened it for the first time, it actually said you may want to sit down for this next result, which was that we were in the top 10% most watched shows on Spotify already, which was insane. So,
and 94% of new shows, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, we only started in October.
We did.
To rank for the entire year when we just sneaked in at the very, very end.
Yeah. And
very unexpected.
They stopped calculating too at the end of October. So really it was just our October viewership, which is incredible. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. And for those of you commenting and our lively discussions on our YouTube page, we love you too. And on Instagram and everywhere that you can follow us.
Definitely if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or any other platform, and you like the community kind of conversation aspect of this, you might want to pop onto our YouTube page just to check the comments thread, because that's where it's really
It's true. It's true. Yeah. We do get comments on Spotify as well, and we do our best to answer them, but I don't feel like it's as interactive a format as what happens on YouTube. So that is a fun extra. And people have great ideas for everything. Okay, we actually have gotten quite a few updates since our last episode. It's been busy here, including something that got announced yesterday, which I'll talk about in a second. But we did get more movie updates from Jenny. She made it perfectly clear that the movie is not coming at Christmas, which will maybe be in conflict with something I'm about to say in a minute, but it is not coming at Christmas. Sorry. She did clearly say in her note to us at the end of the show that she would see us one summer in Cousins, but people are obsessed and people still think it's coming at Christmas, but I guess we'll find out soon that it isn't for real. Apparently Jenny's a liar. I don't know why people think that. There's also this weird persistent rumor that the house has been sold and that the new owners have said there's no filming at the house. I don't know why people think that this means the movie must already be happening, because those two things do not coordinate with one another. The show almost entirely was filmed on sound stages, which have probably been struck and are going to have to be rebuilt anyway. But it's not true. I have tried to substantiate this. I think it comes from somebody on a Facebook page, and the number of people who have said this to me is bizarre. But I cannot track down the source of this rumor. As far as I know, the last time the house was sold was in 2021. Anyway, and even if it does get sold, it doesn't mean they can't make the movie, guys. The two things do not go together. But the script,
by chance it has been sold and somebody has bought it, we want to be friends with you.
Yeah, of course. And if they don't want it sold, if they don't want that exterior shot, they have enough stock footage and they can recreate and, make movie magic with all of this. So let's calm down. The script is done, though, and Jenny said, we finished a draft. I can say it's been a pure joy writing it, and I had so much fun doing it, and it's exactly the kind of movie I like to watch. I want it to feel complete and something that even if you've never watched the show before, you can come and enjoy. I think there aren't as many romantic comedies that are really centered around family and grounded in that way being made right now, and so I'm excited to offer something to that audience. She talked about loving Nora Ephron movies. So we have maybe some hints. That's, You've Got Mail, Sleepless in Seattle, When Harry Met Sally. Of course, those are all about couples coming together, and our couple is already together. So we'll see how she adapts all of that when we see the movie.
And then also comedy. I mean, this show isn't exactly a comedy.
Well, No? Isn't Adam
No.
funny?
I mean, it's got its moments.
It has its moments.
He's funny in season 3. He's not funny yet.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's what she's signaling is it's going to be lighter. It's going to be about, as I've said from the beginning, the family coming back together for another summer in Cousins with all the complications and mess that means with this very complicated family. But we are going to get to see Belly and Conrad as the happy couple at the center of all of this chaos. That's what I think the movie's going to be, friends. We will see who is right. But yesterday, the Summer I Turned Pretty socials sort of revived this whole something's coming at Christmas debate. Maybe because we've been clowning so stupidly online and they are going to capitalize on it. So they have kicked off something called Christmas in Cousins, which is just a fan experience, friends. That's going to involve a giveaway that starts on the 9th of December. This episode is coming out on the 10th. There is going to be a merch. There's going to be a merch drop finally. Maybe I'm going to get a junior mint. I'm excited. And there's going to be like a fireplace Yule log thing, which maybe just is one of those like fireplace channels that they're going to put on Prime. And most excitingly for Jess, I think there's going to be a playlist that's going to get announced. So we will see all of this in the coming days. It starts today and it goes till December 20th. Follow The Summer I Turned Pretty on Twitter. I refuse to call it X, or Instagram, or on TikTok, and you will be able to play along. And again, maybe we'll get some more behind the scenes stuff. I saw a very funny comment this morning online that said that fireplace Yule log better have Belly and Conrad doing things in front of it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Not a family-friendly Yule
Not
log.
family-friendly Yule log, but, a Summer I Turned Pretty friendly. All right, let's get to everyone's favorite segment, except for Jessica's, Catherine's short episode summary. As I've said before, it's not short, but it is a summary, and it does have fans. So our word of the year is love. So this is a love story. I quibble with that word in this season a little bit. And this is called Love Scene, which of course it's going to be our first love scene in the show, which is an appropriate title then, right? So I think I would have freaked out if I saw this title in real time. Do you remember being noticing the title when you watched the episode? No?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I don't think anybody started paying attention to that and that kind of thing until season 3 when they were dropping one at a time and things got really intense.
Right. And they would drop the episode title right before the episode would come out at in the middle of the night. And then that was a whole thing too. Okay. So as I started to say last week, there are 2 shows here. There is the Belly and Conrad story, which happens privately, mostly just between them. And then there is the rest of the show. So that is how we are going to be summarizing the show going forward. So in our present unhappy timeline, Belly arrives at Brown at the same time as Jeremiah. How Belly's taking a 4.5-hour bus ride. Jeremiah is driving an hour from Boston. He's cold to her. We learn that Laurel wouldn't let Belly drive the 4.5 hours to visit Conrad, so she doesn't know where his dorm room is, just that it's on the top floor. In Conrad's room, they meet his roommate, Ski. He's got a text from Conrad that morning to take notes for him. And they learn that Conrad argued with someone on the phone. A girl enters looking for her sweater. Conrad told her he was going to the beach with his cousins. And they realize, oh, that means that Conrad's in Cousins. Conrad has an exam on Thursday, and I'm assuming in this right now we are on Saturday. So they take his things, and Belly finds the infinity necklace on his desk calendar sitting on June 20th. We'll talk about this a bit more later on, but we're supposed to be in May. Why does he have his desk calendar open to June? What is the significance of June 20th? I don't know. Jeremiah is a little bitch about Belly coming with him to Cousins. She goes anyway, pretending that it's for Jeremiah. There's an expression in French, mon oeil, like my eye. Yeah. Sure, Belly, sure. Jeremiah asks her what happened with Conrad. She says he didn't tell you anything. And then, actually, I thought this was good acting. We don't talk about you, is what Jeremiah says. They blow a tire. Jeremiah is an even bigger little bitch about it and goes on about how Belly abandoned him and you never returned her text, Jeremiah. It's your fault. And Jeremiah also mentions how he went to Cousins in the spring with his mom and it was weird being there in the off season. And Belly says that it must have been. She is hiding the fact that she has also been there out of summer. Jeremiah, what do you know at this point? I just picked this up this time. I think Jeremiah knew something here, and this is where his little hinting manipulations start. Anyway, they stop at Rosie's to get a pie and run into Nicole, who assumes that Belly and Conrad are still together, and then Belly is distracted by a Range Rover driving by, which is the first time we see the Range Rover. So now let's go back to The good show, the Belly Conrad show. Conrad picks Belly up at night at her house. She's packed an overnight bag, which is the same bag she has later in the present timeline with Jeremiah. You want to go to the beach? Yes. And on the drive to Cousins, they talk about what Conrad gave his mom for Christmas, which is a bike. And Belly says that boys are bad at giving gifts. No, Conrad's not bad at giving gifts. What are you talking about? But anyway, he says he's so happy. The mom is so happy that Belly's his girlfriend, and she looks so happy. He's also going to change his major to pre-med, and his mom is getting better. They are just happy. And at the beach house, it's cold. They go inside. Conrad makes a fire, Belly makes cocoa, and they are about to kiss when it starts to snow. They frolic in the snow, then come back inside and kiss by the fire. Conrad suggests that they leave, but Belly wants to stay. She wants it to be with him. She checks again if she's sure and confirms to her that he really also wants to do this, and they make love for the first time. Yes, they make love. They don't have sex, Belly. And Conrad is wearing his cousin's rowing shirt, which Belly wears afterwards, and when she tells him when he's sleeping that it's always been him. Back in reality, Belly is both nervous and excited about seeing Conrad again because she came to see Conrad, let's be real. And she goes into the house. Jeremiah is yelling at Conrad about disappearing. Conrad tells Jeremiah that the house has been put up for sale. Belly says something to draw his attention. And when he sees Belly, he says, "What is she doing here?" Fade to black. Daggers. Okay, see, it wasn't that long.
I'm not saying anything else about it. Because every time I say something about it, then everyone in the comments is like, no, I don't think it's too long. And they don't understand what they're doing.
Your face speaks for you. Just
y'all are creating a monster. You're going to make it harder for me to rein these in. I'm just saying.
Okay,
no, it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Okay, thank you. I respond to praise. All right, let's dive in. What was your favorite scene in this episode?
Well, we all know your favorite scene. I liked the snow.
Yeah.
I liked the snow on the beach. I mean, I know you were joking that they're frolicking. I mean, they kind of are.
Well, they are frolicking. I don't think I was joking.
Yeah, but I love that, like, I don't know, the contrast and, you don't know.
The playfulness.
Yeah, and just the idea that it is such a different time of year, and it's just the two of them, and we don't really know the circumstances of her sneaking out, how much trouble she's gonna be in, you know, at the end of this. But yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very sweet, and you know, when they're like fighting over the coats and and he still opens the door for her and all that. It's very well done. And we'll talk about the Taylor Swift of it all also a bit later in the show. But you know, I think, yes, my favorite scene is, you know, basically this whole set of scenes, which culminates in them making love for the first time. We do have the script pages for part of this scene. This was a pivotal scene in the books that Jenny really wanted to make sure they got right. It follows the dialogue almost identically from the books. The Coco
But in the books, they don't go all the way.
Yeah, in the books, they don't go all the way. And in fact, there's two scenes where they are intimate, where they kiss, like they have a long kissing session. And then there's a more sort of urgent thing the next day after she talks to her mom. But like Conrad is so nervous. And it's interesting if you look at Jenny's script annotation, she says there's something really cozy and special about this moment, almost like it's out of time. See, this is my thing. They are out of time, right? Here they are, and no one else is walking in. It's a really private moment. She says it's the first time that they have been alone, probably at the summer house, and certainly alone since they've been dating in this way. And, you know, I did a whole TikTok at one point about how I wondered if actually this was Conrad's first time as well, because he was so nervous. And yes, I know there were condoms in his drawer the summer before. Just because you have condoms doesn't mean you're having sex. In fact, you should have the condoms before you have sex. You know, just like to put my sex educator hat on for a second. But, and because we know he doesn't sleep with Nicole, like Nicole actually says he comes over, but then we don't have sex. And so I still hold out the possibility that this was also Conrad's first time, honestly. But at a minimum, he is so nervous because it's Belly and it's so important to him that she's comfortable. And like he actually says, I hope you don't think that I brought you here just for this. So like he did bring her there for this. And in the car, when she's saying like, is it going to snow? And he says, well, maybe we'll get lucky, which is like a euphemism for having sex. So like, obviously sex is on both of their minds. And, you know, when they go there and they drive there and yeah, like what are the circumstances that allow them to even go? Again, we talked last episode about how Laurel was kind of absent. So did she sneak out and Laurel was there? Because like when they get to Cousins, which is 5-hour drive away, people are still walking around the streets. So it's not 2:00 in the morning. You know, I think they left, and it gets dark at like 4 p.m. on the East Coast in the winter, right? So she sneaks out, but I don't even know if Laurel's at home when she leaves. I think she definitely gets in trouble. We don't see that, but I think that that ties back to her mom saying she wasn't allowed to drive to Brown to see Conrad. I think that is actually part of the trouble that she got in personally.
She doesn't kiss him when she gets in the car.
I know, it's so weird, right? He doesn't kiss her either, though. At one point he does when he's talking about his mom. He puts his hand on her leg when he's saying, she's so happy you're my girlfriend. But yeah, I know. It's interesting. That is interesting. And it's always not bothered me, but it's always something that stood out to me from the beginning. But I just think like we get, spoiler alert, 3 love scenes with them in this show. And I think each one just is done so well and so beautifully and shows this progression between them from this first one, which is so like tender and special and like him really being careful because it's her first time, to them later on, which is still in this year that they're together, where it's them exploring more and it's more passionate. And then like the final time, which is like this whole other experience that I see scenes from every day on Twitter because people are obsessed. So I love the trilogy of their sex scenes. There are 3 of them. And yeah, I just think they're really well done, which is rare, right?
This one is, we talked about with the last episode and the start of season 2, you talked about that thunk at the beginning of the season. And I feel like the way this is spliced together, we sort of keep getting a series of thunks, like
Yes.
reminding us.
Yes.
So, it's interesting. I think we talked about how it's kind of an interesting choice to tell so much of this season in flashbacks. But this episode in particular, I think it's really powerful the way that it's done because we're getting her driving to Cousins with Jeremiah in the future timeline. And I guess we have the sense that the last time she took this drive was that night with Conrad. I'm assuming there wasn't anything in between. So, of course, she's thinking about the last time she did it. But every time we flash forward to her in the car with Jeremiah, it's like this painful reminder that that might as well have been a million years ago, even though it was really, only a few months ago.
Yeah, not that long ago, right? So, yeah, I think it is a good juxtaposition. I think it's also like juxtaposing the way Jeremiah behaves with the way Conrad behaves in that exact same drive. And like literally the guy tries to install a tire for 5 seconds and then he's like, I'm dirty. And this is the thing. And then like I know he's a child. I know he's a child, but he's really being a child.
Okay, you hate Jeremiah so bad that you're like forcing me into the role of being a Jeremiah apologist, which I don't want to be.
You don't have to apologize.
I don't want to
him.
stand up for Team Jer, but I mean, he has some points. I do feel sorry for him in that scene. I don't think that when it's hard when he's crying and he's like, you left me, I needed you. You are my best friend. I mean, he's not accepting any responsibility for his role in that. Like you said, he didn't text her back. But when he says, everyone expected me to be fine with this and I wasn't fine with it, I do feel bad for him. I don't think he is self-aware enough to understand why he wasn't fine with it. Like, he wasn't fine with it because he's got all these feelings toward his brother.
Right.
More, we've talked about this before. More so than he wasn't fine with it because he was so in love with Belly. But I don't think he is self-aware enough to realize where that's coming from. And he is a teenager and he just lost his mom and it's just heartbreaking.
No,
it's just tough.
Look, I get it.
I do feel for him a bit.
I do also, and like I think his panic in this moment is like, it's all being brought up because he says at one point, Conrad's doing it again. Like he kept secrets from me last year about my mom being sick and now he's keeping secrets from me again and he's disappearing. Not that he's disappeared before, but so I think, he's got a lot going on and it gets focused on Belly, but like you see the dynamic from the beginning and this is the dynamic that follows through their relationship. Like he bitches and moans until he gets what he wants. He uses his mom as leverage over her and she like capitulates and just sort of gives him what she wants or what he wants out of guilt. And Conrad just never does that to her.
And Jeremiah also says something kind of interesting. He says, if something has happened to him, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself, which is the closest he comes to accepting some responsibility for the state of things between him and Conrad. I mean, we don't even know for sure what he means by that.
No, but I don't know. Anyway, I think, look, ultimately, this, as I was saying, sets up the dynamic between Jeremiah and Belly going forward. And it's one that we're going to see repeated again and again. Okay, what was your least favorite scene?
I do want to give one honorable mention to another scene I liked.
Oh, sure.
just the whole Taylor kind of evading Steven and trying to cover for Belly and act like she's with her is actually, for me, it was the first time Taylor was super likable in this
Yeah.
entire show.
Yeah.
She's just kind of funny the way she's going about it, and even when she's kind of busted, she just, like, doubles down and keeps trying to cover for her friend, and I think that's one of the first times where we see Taylor being a good friend, trying to be a really good friend to
Yeah.
Belly, instead of
Yeah.
just, giving her bad advice and,
Well, or just, like, saying bad things about Conrad, because even she is even, like, she's trying to fix things with the boys, not just with Jeremiah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I
She might
guess.
not agree with the fact that she went, but she's still trying to help her out,
Yeah. Okay.
keep her out of trouble.
Sure.
Yeah.
Alright, so least favorite scene.
The way Conrad says, "What is she doing here?" at the end of this episode. Gah! It's
Yeah.
like a stab through the heart. I mean, the way he says it and the way he looks at her.
I mean, and then won't look at her. But you know what? I think we're going to find out in the next episode what happened between them. Why aren't they together anymore? And I think it does link back to that. Like, I think he thought in his skewed thinking, he just thinks he's toxic, right? That's how he views himself. And I think he thought that he had done enough so that he was never going to see Belly again, and then that was gonna be better for Belly. And then here she is in the house in a moment of crisis for him. So he's already lost her, which is like the most precious thing to him. And now he's about to lose, and he's lost his mom, and he's about to lose the house, which is a symbol of his mom and Belly. And I think he's like, his brain is about to explode, which we do, I think, also learn again at the end of this episode, the beginning of the next episode. So, like, yes, it's horrible. And then he won't talk to her, like when we get to the next episode. It's horrible, but I don't think I don't think he's actually like mad at her. I think he's just like, what is happening? This is like one more domino that's falling for him. But we don't know that in this moment. We just know he says this very hurtful thing. And if I were Belly, I would be very hurt too. So,
Well, and we don't know that he's not mad at her. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting theory that he's not. He might be a little mad at her. We don't know yet. We'll see in the next
yeah,
episode
I don't
what
think,
their last interaction was,
yeah, I don't think
and it's
he's
not
mad
great.
at her. I just think he's upset that she's there.
Well, I'm mad at her, okay?
I get it. Me too, girl. Me
Yeah, that's
too.
right to be if he was.
Yes, yes. Okay. Favorite line.
When she's walking into the house right before that, she says, "Why does he still have this pull on me? I don't want to see him and I can't wait for it." At the same time, I feel like is a very good vocalization of a lot of push and pull between those two characters.
Yeah.
And I really love that line.
No, it's well done. I mean, I think it's interesting because this is to me the line that shows that, like, when she was lying to herself before and saying, okay, well, I'm going for Jeremiah, is
Mhm.
just like obviously not true, right? Like, you're going to find Conrad. You actually know where Conrad is. He's been found. You don't need to go for Jeremiah, right?
Well, and that's one instance where Jeremiah is actually being a bit more honest than she is. Like, he's like, "I don't need you there, but Conrad might." I
Yes.
mean, he's kind of acknowledging, and then she's like, "Well, I know Jer, and I know he does need me." And
She wants to,
whatever she needs to tell herself to justify getting in that car, I guess. But Jer knows why she's in the car,
yeah.
and
Well,
it's not him.
right. But what's interesting is that whole thing, if you think about like I don't want you to need me, I want you to want me, right? At the end of season one. And that's a whole need versus want is a whole dynamic that gets repeated between them. So if I think Belly wants to be both needed and wanted. And her dynamic with Jeremiah is that she's needed. And her dynamic with Conrad is that she's wanted. And this is like a big distinction in her mind for some reason, where I think it's really a mixture of both, obviously. But like, yeah, if she wants to be with Conrad, right? Like she's still madly in love with him, whatever she's telling herself. She wants to see him, obviously. So that's why she goes. I mean, yeah, she also cares about Jeremiah and wants to be a support system for him. But I feel like, Belly always wants to like have her cake and eat it too, right? So she doesn't want anything to change, but she does all these things that make it kind of impossible for
I
it
mean,
not to change, right?
yeah, let's be real. Belly has been waiting for really any excuse. When the season started, she didn't know what to do with herself. It's summer. She's not
Yeah.
going to cousins.
Yes.
She misses that routine. It's kind of driving home everything that she's lost. This is just kind of like an excuse to be like, well, I'm coming too. I mean, it could have
Yeah.
been anything.
No,
right?
I agree. I agree.
She
I
has
agree.
so much unfinished business with both Conrad and Jeremiah. She doesn't like the way that they've left things, which we haven't seen the way they've left things yet, but, it's almost she really inserts herself here in a way that becomes a little bit annoying to me down the road, but I think
Yeah,
she just needs an excuse to get back in front of these people and work through some things, which is fair,
I
which is
agree
valid.
with that. And we wouldn't have a show otherwise, right? My favorite line, I do think, going back to their sex scene, is, she touches him and he makes a noise and then she says, what? And he is like, is that, and he says, it feels good. And then she says, that's because you're cold hearted, which maybe she's like being flirtatious. I don't know. It's a bit of an odd thing to say, but he says maybe for everyone else, but not for you. I mean, another theme that I'm developing is like all the ways that Conrad has told Belly that he loves her without saying those words. You're it for me, Belly. It's not like it is with us. We'll always be infinite no matter what happens. I'm cold hearted for everyone else, but not for you. Like, girl, over and over and over and over again, he is showing you and telling you how he feels about you. And just Belly just has a hard time like processing that and believing it
Well,
because
I think she tends to kind of latch on to some of the things he says that he's not putting that much weight behind. She has this way of, and I think it's just, her self-confidence and what she believes is possible in this situation. But, we're staying kind of spoiler free in terms of like actually, in the sense of actually spoiling things. But
right, right.
sometimes I think a little spoiler can help you like understand what's coming and it's not ruining anything. When he says to her in the car, you have no idea how happy my mom is that you're my girlfriend. I think that's just kind of like a throwaway thing to say for him. They're just talking about Susanna and her Christmas present, but
For sure.
Belly latches onto that.
She does.
He latches onto that, and she is internalizing that in a way that he could not even suspect.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
that's, one of the Easter eggs in the show that, or
yeah.
something that comes home to roost later on is that conversation, even though she looks so happy in the moment when Conrad says that. But yes, that's definitely becomes an issue later 100% without giving anything more away. So other Easter eggs, as you point out, in the flashbacks, song playing during Billy and Conrad's first time is Kissing You by Desiree. Do you want to tell us about the importance of that?
So that is like a very specific choice because it was never any kind of hit song that I'm aware of, but it was the song that was playing in the Romeo and Juliet film when Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes first see each other through the fish tank. And it's this love at first sight moment. It's this star-crossed lovers moment. I mean, to me, that is what that song is known for. And then Chris Briney started drawing all of these comparisons to Leonardo DiCaprio, which I think are pretty spot on. Some of the side-by-sides that people have collected online are pretty unreal.
They are.
You
I
cannot
mean,
deny it in any
Jenny
way.
definitely did it on purpose. Like she
Yeah.
said that it is a callback to that moment. It's a beautiful moment in film, and I remember watching that movie and being like, okay, and not. And as you know, I'm not actually a huge DiCaprio person.
Well,
So
I had the still of Leo through the fish tank on my dorm room wall in
hilarious,
the 90s. So,
hilarious. All
yeah.
right.
So I was,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I'm, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's. We'll come back to this when we get to our questions for Jenny, but like there's a lot of great non-Taylor Swift musical moments in the show, and that is definitely one of them.
Oh, there is some heavy, heavy foreshadowing in the soundtrack of this
Yes.
episode in particular, maybe more than any other episode. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some on the nose.
Well, you
Starting from the very, very first opening scene, it's like this joyful scene where she's sneaking out to meet Conrad, but the song that's playing is Steal My Girl by One Direction, which
that sounds happy, but all right. Yeah.
no one's trying to steal his girl right in that moment, but oh, it's coming.
You went on like a deep dive into the lyrics this week.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of okay, can I just keep
Yeah.
going?
Go,
This is
go,
where,
go.
I haven't identified as a Swiftie. Am I a bit of a directioner who's past my time? I don't know. Am
Okay.
I?
Okay. I see.
Okay, so there's a pretty obscure Delwater Gap song playing in the Jeep. And the reason I immediately recognize that song is because Delwater Gap opened for Nile in the
Oh,
summer of
whoa.
2024 when my daughter and I saw Nile in concert.
You
in
are really
Cincinnati.
exposing yourself today. Okay.
I'm exposing myself today. So we had looked up Delwater Gap, and this is one of his,
Oh, okay.
he's a lesser known artist. He has this song called Ode to a Conversation Stuck in Your Throat. And the chorus is, I don't want anybody else touching you like I do. And that repeats over and over and over. And that is playing when she is riding with Jer in
Interesting.
the Jeep. And then, of course, there's Deja Vu by
Olivia
Olivia
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, which is kind of a song about, it's about jealousy of a future girlfriend. So you wouldn't at first think that that fits here, but fits more almost between the brothers. So I felt like there was like heavy subliminal messaging about what was coming later in this season. I mean, just the
Interesting.
sense of if you're not Team Jer,
Yeah.
alarm bells are going off every time a song starts to play in the
100,
background.
100%.
For me.
For sure. Okay. And then, of course, we got the Steal My Girl one. So, other Easter eggs, not musical. The infinity necklace is on Conrad's desk in his dorm room. So, that used to be around Belly's neck in the previous episode. Now Conrad has it again. We don't know why, but we've not seen Belly wearing it in the present timeline, obviously.
And his roommate is really validating, like, he was so sad after you broke up. And Belly seems kind of sincere when she's like, no, he wasn't sad about me. That's not what he
I
was
know,
sad
and
about.
the roommate is like, nah, he was looking
No,
at
it's
photos
definitely
of
you.
you on his phone. Like, it was but I think Belly's thinking more about who's this other girl and why is her sweater in the room and why, as Conrad said, tell this other person where he's going. I mean, I just think that's like some friend at school. I don't think
Right,
it's
someone in one of his
anything.
classes who was
Yeah,
studying there.
whatever.
But this whole
Exactly.
conversation is also happening in front of Jer, which is kind of uncomfortable.
Right.
Is Jer smug about another girl being there?
No, I think Jared keeps like rolling his eyes about Conrad and Belly this whole time. But
Right.
the thing about the sweater, which is interesting, like leaving her sweater there, is because, as I've said before, Belly is a clothes stealer. And Belly, like, takes his cousin's shirt. We know she has it because we saw it in the previous episode in her closet. She still has that shirt. He gives her his sweater when she's cold in the car, which is also, something that's a gesture that's going to get repeated later this season. And she keeps that sweater too. And basically her entire closet is just Conrad's things at one point. And there's even one thing that happens at the beginning of season 3 where I was like, no, that can't, like, she can't be wearing that in this moment. But anyway, we'll come back to that. So, I just think everything's meant to destabilize Belly. But if we speak for a moment about that, like, desk calendar, it's so interesting. Like, it's open to the week, or it's open to June, which again, we talked last episode, like, are we in May? Are we in June? It's confusing timeline wise, but they do keep saying it's a month after the mom died, and the mom died on April 14th. So, like, why does he have his calendar open to June? Why is the infinity necklace there? And Belly's birthday is that week. It's at the end of that week where the infinity necklace is sitting there on there. So was Conrad thinking, okay, like, summer's gonna come and I'm gonna see her again? Like, is that what his thought process was? I've had so many theories about this damn desk calendar and June 20th. You can't even imagine. Because I was like, you know what? I originally thought that was her birthday, and that's when there was going to be a reunion between them, like, on that day. And then I realized her birthday wasn't that day. So it's confusing, and it could just mean nothing. But anyway, she finds it. It's important. It'll come back, obviously. When they're in the past and they're at the house, he is using a Simpsons mug for the cocoa, or she puts his cocoa into a Simpsons mug, which is, again, a moment from the books that, in Conrad's point of view, talks about that moment, and that's like a mug he's had since his childhood. Again,
Why is there a Christmas mug there if no one is ever there at Christmas time? Does she bring her own mug from home?
I don't know. No, I don't. She finds the mugs in the... Well, they don't say that that's a bit interesting. Good point. I just find it weird, like, why they never go to the summer house in the
find that weird
winter.
too.
Why the families never see each other or speak to each other except for in the summer is also odd, I find. But
If
anyway.
I owned a gorgeous house by the beach, I would take opportunities to go there in the off season and just enjoy the view. But maybe they don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Me too. It's only an hour away from Boston. And then, as I mentioned before, when she tells Jeremiah that her mom wouldn't let her drive to Brown, I do think, like, that was her punishment for spending the night, and how long they ended up staying in Cousins. Like, we don't know how long they were there, who found out. That is in the books, but we don't get that in the show. Your point about...
It was worth it. Whatever the punishment was, I bet it was worth it.
Of course it was. Whatever your point about when Conrad says that Susanna's so happy as her girlfriend, one of our listeners also had that question this week too. Like, was that something that stuck with her? Do you think that Belly might see this as another moment where Conrad's feelings seem influenced by what Susanna wants rather than purely his own choice? And she ties it back to the Deb ball scene, which, right? Because again, like when he asked her to the Deb ball and then it's like, oh, your mom made you ask me. And no, 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 I wanted to ask you. So I think if she's building a file in her mind, her denial file, I'm going to call it, like
Oh, I love that. Denial.
her denial file, so that allows her to like pack away what is obvious to everyone around them, which is that he is completely in love with her and wants to be with her. Like even Jeremiah is clocking that, Stephen clocks it, everyone clocks it, Taylor, but she's in denial. And I just think she shoves all that stuff in there because she can't stand being hurt again. Like it just devastated her when they broke up, and she just doesn't want to ever give anybody that power over her again in her life. So that's what I think is happening. But anyway, okay. Color theory. She's wearing a Daisy sweater again in the past. How many Daisy sweaters are there on the market?
Interesting.
Yes, yes. So again, the he loves me not.
Somebody on YouTube tried to tie it to The Great Gatsby, but I don't really see that.
I don't get any
comparison.
Gatsby references in this at all.
They said that there was like maybe a poster somewhere, which maybe there was. I mean,
Yes.
Susanna likes classic movies and classic literature, but I don't, from a literary analysis standpoint, I don't really see similarities
I don't
between
see
Belly
it.
and Daisy.
No, and she did have it in her dorm room, but like sometimes a poster is just a poster. Daylight theory, all this, intimate scenes with Conrad are taking place at night. Jeremiah at this point is in the daytime, in the sunlight, but he is like a dark storm cloud, so I don't know.
A whiny little
bitch, as I called him, yes. And, interestingly, isn't that what Conrad calls himself at some point later on? That he was like a little bitch, right?
Well,
Anyway,
I don't think
whatever.
he was.
I agree. The mirroring here obviously is like when they're together, they're happy. And when she sees Conrad happy, she's happy, and vice versa, I think. But they're together, they're happy. That it's a good moment for them. Everything is going well in the past at this point, which brings us, of course, to the Taylor Swift of it all. And okay, so the Hey Steven ringtone, that's actually quite funny for Steven. Like, not about this so weird song to associate with your brother, but it is funny. Yeah. And then, of course, when they're on the beach, Invisible String is playing. So I mentioned last episode that folklore plays a large part of season 2, and folklore is about a teenage love triangle, or like the main trilogy of songs on that album is about a teenage love triangle. And Invisible String is and is not part of it. It's interesting, some of the things that Taylor mentions in that song, you're like, you are just looking for connections that are not there. And a lot of the fandom has been like, no, she had this like invisible string with Travis. Like, points of connection are so interesting. But the parts of this song that I think are relevant here are Time, Curious Time, Gave Me No Compasses, Gave Me No Signs, Were There Clues I Didn't See, and Isn't It Just So Pretty to Think All Along There Was Some Invisible String Tying You to Me, Cold Was the Steel of My Axe to Grind, For the Boys Who Broke My Heart, Now I Send Their Babies Presents. We were talking about this offline. Gold was the color of the leaves. We have color theory. When I showed you around Centennial Park, hell was a journey, but it brought me to heaven. So it's like an interesting song, like in this really happy moment between them on the beach in the snow, and to play something which is like so many songs that Taylor wrote when she was with Joe Alwyn have this level of anxiety in them about their love and whether it was going to last and whether it was only happy or it's always like mixed emotions. So
well, this is where, I mean, I feel like all along you've been saying, well, you say you're not a Swiftie, but you seem pretty informed, about the Swiftie catalog. But this is one where I'm like, wait, Invisible String is a song? Because you've been talking about the invisible string the whole time, and I'm just like, I understand what you mean by that.
You didn't know it was a song?
Well, it came up in the comments a while ago, and you were like, Jessica, no, you do know it's a song. Like, you've heard it. And I'm like, have I? So
you told me you had listened to folklore, so...
I mean, yeah, but I wasn't like following along the song.
All right.
While I was listening, I was walking in the woods, as you may recall.
Yes, when you were attacked
with my
by
cloak. I was
murder of crows or whatever.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, now I was kind of like feeling a little bit clueless, like maybe I'd missed something. But there is a very obvious song that they could have played here
One,
instead.
yeah, we'll get there in 1 second, but I just think like you will see many instances of their invisible string from this point going forward. Okay. So there are going to be moments where they are aware of one another or they show up in the same place without talking about it. And that's like the invisible string between them because they are infinite, they are connected, and it all leads back to each other. So that's what I think the invisible string theory is basically like. There
Yeah,
was
I was
all
already on board with it.
no,
I just
I
didn't know
know,
if
I
we could
know,
do
I
more
know, I know,
things.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's like,
I'm caught up now.
there was always a time that they were going to be together, and maybe this is it. Okay, so obviously the song that I was shocked wasn't used was "Snow on the Beach." You as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Even I knew that was a song.
yeah, but I think you listened more to Midnights, right? And it was on there.
Maybe.
It does get used later though. In a different context, which is like just bizarre. And
This would have been a great place for it.
it would have, though it's that Snow on the Beach is not talking about it's talking about the phenomenon. Like it's less about a relationship, I think, if I think about the lyrics. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it was just like too on the nose, Like too on the nose. Though I think when they use it in the past, sorry, when they use it again later, it is meant to be a callback to this moment.
Yeah. I mean, and there is some celestial
Yes.
there's flying in a dream, stars by the pocketful. You wanting me tonight feels impossible, but it's coming down, no sound. It's all around. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it was too on the nose. Invisible string like fits but doesn't fit also. So, maybe it fits but doesn't fit. I don't know. Too obvious. I would have enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I actually thought when it was like, oh, we're going to the beach and it's going to snow, I'm like, oh, they're going to play Snow on the Beach. Like that was where my brain was going. And then when they started playing Invisible String, I was like, huh? What? Back at
Keeping you on your toes.
2 o'clock in the morning when I was being whiplashed all over the place and wondering why I was torturing myself watching this show, which brings us to our last.
And I was watching it like this already.
Yeah, like this.
Like, oh.
No.
Oh, no.
Hell no. Yeah. Well, we survived. Okay, so questions for Jenny Han. Go ahead.
Would she have made the show using nothing but Taylor Swift songs if that had been an option? Because I think the soundtrack in this episode I already talked about. Yeah, I did a bit of a dive into all the foreshadowing, and I do think there are quite a few episodes where there is a non-Taylor song that has a really good, like, poignant role. We just saw the Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo. In season 3, one that stands out to me is Ariana Grande, We Can't Be Friends.
Right.
So there are some non-Taylor songs that do have a prominent role in the show, but we're also all assuming that there was a budget. And I know that Jenny is a Swiftie and none of this was by accident. So if she had the chance to do this with nothing but Taylor songs, would she have?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I really don't think so. I mean, I think a lot of the Olivia Rodrigo songs are important. I think there's a lot of Phoebe Bridgers songs that are like really important to the soundtrack here. Role model, like there's a lot of, I think if it would, and I am not saying that all Taylor Swift songs sound the same at all. And not that Taylor doesn't have a lot of songs for different moments, but I don't think she has songs for every moment here. Yeah,
I guess now that we're forcing ourselves to pick a Taylor song for every episode, it's just interesting.
It's an interesting thought experiment for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the answer is no. I think that she would continue to. I'm sure there are songs she wanted that she didn't get. I don't think there are Taylor songs she wanted that she didn't get, but I think there are other songs. Speaking of One Direction, speaking of Harry, there's a song that comes in season 3, which I know they, were worried they weren't going to get. I think they had tried to get it for the season before. So yeah, I think it's good to have the variety in there. As much of a Swiftie as I am, I enjoy a lot of these other songs in the show as well.
Okay. It would be like a director's cut.
A director's cut, just
collector's edition.
Collector's just recut just with Taylor songs.
Yeah.
I mean, that dress scene in season 3, I did see a cut to a different Taylor song, actually. Somebody made one at one point. Yeah. And it was good. It maybe wasn't like as good, but it was good. Okay. My question was Conrad Fisher also a virgin?
I would love to ask Jenny because I never in a million years thought that until, I saw your video theory on it a few months ago before we even started doing this. And I thought, well, is this just something that we've been led to assume?
Right.
And especially now that we've been rewatching it. We knew that he didn't with Nicole. He also wasn't that serious about Nicole.
Right.
presumably he did have a girlfriend who he actually cared about in high school before that. But I think he was leaning so hard into this like bad boy persona at the beginning of season 1, which we really never see again. But at the very, very beginning of season 1,
Yes.
is that just one of the assumptions that we make about him in the context of he's smoking pot and he's kind of a partier and he dropped off the football team and there's condoms in his drawer? We just, you know, I don't know. I never thought that it would have been
Yeah, but
his
that all
character trait, but
happens.
it's an interesting theory. I
His
can't disprove it. I can't
his
disprove it.
his bad boy phase is like 2.5 months long. It starts in April when he finds out that his mom is dying and that his dad cheated on his mom in the same day. He breaks up with his girlfriend and drops off the football team and becomes a sullen teenager for like 2.5 months. And then halfway through the summer, he comes back to himself.
So my read of why he was so nervous in that scene by the fire was simply that he cares so much about Belly and he's just being very careful of her. That
Yeah.
was my initial.
No, and that's probably right. But it's fun to speculate.
Interesting question.
Interesting question. Okay. So guess what, guys? We do finally have a catchphrase.
We do.
We threw out a whole bunch of them. Nobody wanted to play along with us, but it was like, oh, the obvious catchphrase, sort of
I'll
like,
let you do the honors,
it will, but
Captain.
it was just like hit me when I was driving somewhere and I was like, "Oh." So I like voice to texted Jessica and I was like, this is our catchphrase. So here's what it is, folks. It's what Susanna would have wanted. So tune in next week because it's what Susanna would have wanted. We'll see you
See you
soon.
next week.
Bye.